What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I bring to you today some good news. This actually happened last night, but we got a statement from Warner Bros. On Wonder Woman, and there's actually, obviously, the statement itself to talk about in terms of thank the Lord, not live service, and we'll go over exactly what was said. But I also kind of want to read into the statement because I feel like nowadays 50-50 shot that you even get a statement for this kind of thing. I honestly look at it as good news for the game. Again, we'll talk about that in a second. So this obviously is to the news about a week ago, which I want to say, by the way, boosting my ego, I reported on that. All of a sudden, these IGNs of the world, these GameSpots of the world, they started reporting it like 2 days ago. And it's like, well, they clearly got it, I think, originally from me. No credit given. It is what it is. These people are terrible anyway. But no, what is this? It's the job posting that had live service in it, right? It's not what they needed you to have in order to get hired, but it was what would have been nice to have, right? If you've had experience working on live service games. That doesn't mean the game's gonna have it, or what way, I guess, right? It could be more Shadow of War style. It could also be more like Suicide Squad or like Marvel's Avengers, even if you want to go down that path, right? So that's where we were at. And it was made a really big deal of. And, again, a few days ago, the journalists of the world, they were like literally a week late to the story, but they picked it up and everybody was talking about it again, I guess at a larger scale, okay? So all eyes were on it. And I think it is right to kind of issue a statement, even though you look at it, it's like, well, it's just one job posting. It's one line on the job posting. Do you really need to combat it? Well, not even really Monolith's fault. It's more of Warner Bros. Fault of what they've talked about with their games, with live service elements incorporated in them, right? Where you almost force these developers now to say something, even if it's some small little, detail that we kind of pick apart. So this actually comes from a follower of mine, a fantastic Wonder Woman kind of account that covers this stuff amongst other things as well. And again, this is from IGN. Warner Bros. Responded with a statement to IGN denying that it'll be a service game. Wonder Woman is a single-player action-adventure game set in a dynamic open world. This third-person experience will allow players to become Diana of Themyscira and introduce an original story set in the DC universe, while also featuring the Nemesis system. Wonder Woman is not being designed as a live service, Warner Bros. Spokesman said. So very important to point out a couple different things. Number one, I love that they're throwing that Nemesis system at you over and over, and that's excellent. We've talked about that actually with job postings as well. It was never really a secret because I think even when they first announced this game, they had mentioned the Nemesis system, but you look at pretty much any job posting and they always bring it up. It's theirs, obviously, but they always bring it up, and it always sounded like it was going to be a big part. Well, even in this statement, right? Clearly, they're going all for it. And the fact that it's set in a dynamic open world. Now, I think the dynamicness of it, a lot of it stems from the Nemesis system. So, number one, hearing that, just, oh my, like, again, we kind of knew that. They've kind of said it before, but just to hear it again, and really it's them doubling down, right? It's them not only denying the live service thing, but it's also them saying what kind of game once more that this is. And it's exactly like this is what we want, especially from Monolith, who are very good at these things. This is what we want the game to be, not something else, right? And then you have them just flat out say this game is not being made, as a live service game. So thank the Lord. There's not too much to say, right? I guess the only thing to say would be, well, then what's up with that job posting? We actually do know Monolith, based off other job postings, they are working on 2 games. They're not just working on Wonder Woman, they're working on something else. It's unclear if it's DC or not. I feel like it's probably DC, considering they want to get that going. Warner Bros., right? And you got Wizarding World stuff. You got, DC, and that's really all you kind of got that they're really trying to push, right? So I imagine it's another DC game, but we're not sure. Maybe that would have a live service, or maybe, like it has been pointed out, like, Shadow of War, I would not consider a live service game by any stretch, but like I said, with the job posting, it never sounded like it was going to necessarily be a full frontal attack, a live service game. The person, it would have been nice if they had live service experience. Now, you combine that with what Warner Bros. Has said about all of their games going forward, and then also their biggest franchises going forward, and you say, yeah, that's why we were afraid, right? That's why. It wasn't necessarily just the job posting. So Could there be some sort of stupid loot box thing in it? Yeah. And in fact, there was, a partial kind of thing with that in Shadow of War that was heavily criticized, and it was kind of backed out, a couple months or maybe a month or so into the game coming out. So is it possible there's still something in there? Possibly, but I mean, they are flat out denying that this is a live service game, and that's the biggest thing. That is not what this game should be. That's what we've talked about for so long. And I guess, like I said earlier, really reading into it, if we want to really grasp at straws, which I love to do, I mean, you can say all the stuff we've just said. So why issue a statement? Well, there's a couple different reasons. Biggest reason would be to, get this out of the way, right? The fact that they don't want all of the talk on this. I guess you could look at this actually as a negative in terms of when the game is going to get revealed. And so follow me through. If they're thinking, wow, we're not going to reveal this game again, right? Show it off. We're not going to do that for like another year. And in that next year, the next 12 months, we don't want everything that people are talking about regarding the game. We don't want it to be just on the live service elements. And that's a very good reason to do this. So that now, if you talk about Wonder Woman, chances are speculation theories, but it's going to be positive. It won't be so every time you bring up Wonder Woman, you got to bring up the live service elements. It also should send a message that people don't want it. To be honest, I'm not saying follow like the Twitter crowd. That's the worst thing you can do. But the fact that you needed to address this does mean in some instance that people hate this and they don't want it with Wonder Woman. So again, they don't want everything that's said about this game to be about that. Again, that's grasping a little bit, but I really think you should do like a little case study on that. Sony, Warner Bros., other companies, you should really do a case study on that and say, well, why did we have to issue a statement? Why were people so angry at us? Well, maybe it's because we don't want these things in games that don't need them. And so, that's one thing. I guess if you're looking at it from another, point of view, they say something about it. So like, I don't know, like, I cover the industry a lot, as much as I can, all these different games. And you don't always get statements back. I mean, how often do you read an article that says, like, the company was contacted for a statement and they didn't give one? Normally, companies don't respond to rumors or leaks. And the coincidence that was good for us here is it wasn't a rumor or a leak. It was literally a job post. It was more like clarifying what they meant. So they did say something. So is it what we just talked about? Is that why they did it? Or maybe like the game's close to being shown? Because you could look at it that way too, right? They want to show this game off in a few months from now, and they're still afraid, right, that everything people say about it is going to just be the live service. They kind of want to wipe that clean and get ready for the big reveal. You could look at it like that. My theory, and I'll probably do a video on this like going into next year, like maybe early January, I think they're waiting for Suicide Squad. I think Suicide Squad comes out, and they are just going in order. They did Gotham Knights, they did Suicide Squad, then they do Wonder Woman. And the promotion and the focus on each game, it goes in that order, the order of release. And that's what I think is happening. So we'll talk about that a little bit more, in a month or so, and anything else that changes. So there you go. Very exciting. Very happy that it happened, to be honest with you. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.